Oh, mine too. Good morning, everybody. Robert here from the Red Dragon School of Martial Arts. Today we'll be discussing Tai Chi and in particular the movement single whip. What a great action. Very, very dynamic action designed to help us practice the principles of Tai Chi and really quite a challenging action. You know, when practicing in form tends to be, like the name implies, a little bit precise. The shapes are specific, the directions are specific, and the way that we manage ourselves is quite specific. But typically, the forms themselves tend to be mildly exaggerated. In other words, we're slowing them down more than we would normally. We're extending them possibly a little larger than we would normally. And over time, what will happen is the movements will become, I'm going to say, a little bit smaller, a little bit more natural, and a little bit more relaxed. So when we think of the application of single whip is an application where we are imagining somebody coming straight at us, using two hands to try to maybe push us, for example. Our job, the first thing, is to connect. We want to, of course, stay stable. We want to connect to the incoming opponent, and then we're going to try to use a whipping-like action in order to change a bad thing into a good thing. And then, redirecting into a new direction, we're dealing from an assailant from the opposite direction. So it's actually a two-person defense. Quite a profound movement, so very early in the learning experience. All right, let's spread our legs out a little bit, prepare our body. You know that have you been following along in this series? The two things that we always strive to manage, and that is remaining stable and interconnecting the body together. So very, very important that we do that, right? So let's do that. Feet are nice and wide. Lower your waistline down. You'll feel that tail pulling down slightly. The chest is inward. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, and fingers are extended forward in a rounded action, and the head is gently raised. Chin in, mouth closed, eyes bright. You can feel the neck pushing out a little bit. This is nice and straight in the back. Crown point elevated. Shoulders down, check. Make sure you're settled. Chest is relaxed. And just expand with your breathing. Hold. Now, as you breathe with this action, make your breath a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, and a little bit more expansive. Try to use the breath to connect in through the action. Tai Chi is a form of energy work, or Qigong. So it's helpful to bring up your resources and elevate your energy a little bit, and it'll make it a lot easier to observe in the process of performing, right? So I recommend doing this a couple, 3 minutes a day, longer if you can, and more than once. Try to, add energy to your body and get used to managing your body like this. Ideally, we're relaxed, we're comfortable, we're stable, gently extended, and interconnected. So that's something we want to maintain all the time. All right, let's take a closer look at the action, single whip. So I'm going to perform it for you in form, and then we'll take a look at the structure of the movement from the bottom up. Let's do the action from this direction. So here is single whip. So a very large range of motion. Again, considerably larger than you might use it in application. Now, let's say, for example, we're imagining somebody coming from this direction. And as they're reaching towards us, we don't want to let them get onto our torso. We don't want them to touch us. So we just simply make contact with our left hand on that forearm. So in doing so, we're imagining connecting and moving with that person. Now here's the point. The action itself doesn't have to be a great big range of motion if you were actually applying it. In summary, you're going to shorten the action. So if you were actually pulling somebody, you could pull and strike rather quickly. So the movements tend to be exaggerated to give us more control, to give us more expansiveness and connectedness into the action. Okay? So in summary, the movements tend to be applied a little bit smaller than we practice them. But when we practice them, we're trying to extend and connect. That's the reason why these frames are as large as they are. Now let's take a little closer look at the footwork. So when we look at the position we're beginning the footwork in, here we are in a bow stance. Now, when we look at the way that we manage that, our feet are shoulders width apart. The left foot is turned out 45 degrees, and we stride forward into a bow stance-like posture. So we're going to make a dramatic change. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit back, and with the weight on the rear foot, we're going to minimize the contact of the forward foot. The waist turning inward faces the corner. Push all the way to the tip of your toe, bringing this left foot alongside of you. Spread your knees apart, extend the left heel, point the toe in the new direction, and bend the forward knee. So you end up with a bow stance in a 180-degree direction. So pretty big range of motion, right? Let's try that again. Let's go back to feet shoulders width. Turn your left foot to the left 45 degrees. With all the weight on your left foot, keep your feet apart and stride forward with the right. Sit your weight back. Let your waist pull your foot, but don't let the foot lag. In other words, it's very normal for the top to get in front of the bottom. In fact, what we want is that bottom to move right away. So as I turn my body to corner, my feet agree. When I turn my body to the side, my foot agrees with my frame. And when I continue to turn, the same thing is true. My foot agrees with my frame. The left leg has to absorb a little bit, has to be willing to bend and let that energy in. Here, we're going to push on the floor, sit comfortably, free up that left side of the body so that you can put the heel down nice and wide, roll to the toe. You should feel that back pressure, allowing yourself to control that shift. So that's a big range of motion, isn't it? Let's take a look at it from the front side. From here in summary, sitting back, we're going to turn into the corner, sit and step nice and wide and shift the weight forward. So the movement is nice and wide apart, okay? Let's take a look at that one more time in action. So from here with the bow stance facing in this direction, we're going to sit back, turn, push, heel ball toe, bend forward knee. Now, there are a couple of other potential uses of this action. The action of bringing your foot alongside and stepping forward can very much step outside the frame of an opponent and simply use this action to take a person down. What we're actually envisioning, for the most part, is somebody attacking from this way using their right hand. So we intercept, contact, and strike with the edge of the left hand in the person's middle body. So everything comes from the feet, explodes up through the legs, directed by the waist, and expressed in the hands. Let's take a look again at single whip. Move your weight back. Waist pulls the frame around. Weight's on the left leg. Push all the weight over the right leg, inside circle, form the hook. Stretch the movement out. Lifting up the left, step wide, intercept, push on the floor, and extend. Now this movement will challenge your stability a lot. So what's recommended is that you just downsize it a little bit and pay a lot of attention to your feet. Wherever you're observing is where your energy goes. So it's just a good idea to stay stable, pay attention to the very bottom of the action, and you'll feel that capacity to push energy off the floor and maintain stability. So single whip, a most profound action. Let's look at it again. Imagine that we're drawing an outside circle and an inside circle, and that's happening inside the body. Turning left as we move left, sitting back, and turning right to express that motion. Turning left when we intercept, and extend when we push the hand out. So let's draw our attention to the feet and connect the waist into the action. From here, sit back, the hands are level. The hands are mildly delayed. We meant to let the inside and the bottom move first. So the hands are actually lightly delayed and end up pulling from the right. Turning the toe in, the hands are kind of rounded. And then when we move our weight back, we pivot as if we're pivoting on the elbow. Pivot. Two hands control the opponent's one arm, left hand. From here, lifting up, left side is free to move. Put the foot in place and push on the floor. Okay? Always releasing the body. So as you're pushing down, don't push your body away from the floor. Settle down into your root. Okay, you want to release your weight down. You want to be able to adapt to any sudden changes that's occurring. So single whip, a most profound action. And as the name implies, it can be sped up and whip-like in its nature. Let's take a little closer look at the action if we had sped it up and used it more the way that we might use it in an actual defensive movement. So here is single whip sped up, and it's a little bit easier to see the whipping action and the forces being used. Let's take a look at single whip a little quicker. So, nice stable body, a big rolling, changing action, makes for a very difficult, I'm going to say, ability for the opponent to follow. So we want to be able to make change without our opponent being able to stick to us too well. So in this case, we're pulling and striking, using the hook in a most profound way, striking the middle body of our opponent in this direction. And in this direction, we're going to use the edge of the hand to push out on the middle body. One more time. Single whip. When practicing by yourself, it's highly recommended that you hold the end of the motion. Ideally, when you think about having energy available to be able to use that force, what makes that energy useful is when it's connected all the way down into the ground. And by you pushing firmly down on the ground and expressing in an extended, connected way, you become a vessel and a conductor of that energy. Much, much more available energy at the end of the technique doing it that way. So express yourself and feel that sensation. Feel that inner press. Just like when you do this sensation you're feeling here is designed to be felt here. The same chest relaxed, shoulder down, waist down, same settled, connected feeling. The only difference is we're holding a single whip posture, but fundamentally the structure and its core are precisely or pretty much the same. Okay, so no matter what action you're doing, the principles are always there. The principle of stabilizing and connecting the body, right? All right. Practice. Put a mirror up. Video yourself and just see how you look. You don't have to share it with anybody. Unless you'd like to, we'd be happy to get your feedback. So work on that one, spend some time on that one. Down below, we hopefully have some links that you can utilize to take advantage of. Print out the material if you like. Please feel free to give us some feedback. We'd like to hear your stories and share this with your friends. The other thing, we're putting this together in a chronological way, so if you subscribe to the channel and you turn on that notification, that'll help keep the videos in order as far as you're trying to progress with us, right? So do that, and we look forward to spending time with you on Friday. Friday, we'll be covering the movement Hands Raise Up, another elegant way of applying the principles. Meantime, have a wonderful day, be blessed, and enjoy your practice.